Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going straight after the absolute ultimate prize for any cyber attacker, Active Directory. In a lot of recent breaches, it takes attackers less than a couple of hours to go from initial access to total domain dominance. It's wild. So if you're a focused learner looking to master the architecture of enterprise identity defense, you are in exactly the right place. See, Active Directory, or AD, isn't just another app on your network. It's the primary gateway to your entire enterprise identity infrastructure. If an attacker manages to compromise AD, well, it's pretty much game over. They controlled the whole network domain. So what we're going to do today is walk through a really comprehensive blueprint for planning a rock-solid Active Directory security audit. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the Active Directory threat, move into the audit framework, jump into some core PowerShell discovery baselines, dive deep into practical log analysis and permissions, and finally, build out our risk assessment matrix.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the Active Directory threat.
So just a level set. Active Directory is essentially your centralized repository for user and group accounts, right? It's the core mechanism deciding who gets access to what across the entire organization. But because it literally holds the keys to the kingdom, it is always going to be a massive target for lateral movement and credential theft. It's a pretty terrifying reality when you think about it. If an attacker finds even a single vulnerability in your AD architecture, they can pivot, elevate their privileges using nasty tricks like pass the hash or Kerberos roasting, and effectively own your entire domain infrastructure. And that brings us to a really crucial mindset shift we need to make today. Security audits are preventative, not reactive. You absolutely cannot sit around waiting for an alert from your security operations center to start checking your domain configuration. By the time that alarm bell rings, it's already way too late. Uncovering those dormant misconfigurations and structural gaps internally is literally the only way to prevent external exploitation. Basically, it boils down to this. You've got to find the holes in the wall before the enemy does.
Moving on to Section 2, the Audit Framework. As the IT defender, your whole strategy is built on actually proving that your controls work. We have four main pillars for why we audit. First, and honestly most critically, we have to discover dormant or structural infrastructure vulnerabilities. These are incredibly dangerous because they are completely silent. We're talking about misconfigurations made years ago, entirely forgotten about, that won't ever trigger a SOC alert until they're actively exploited. Second, we have to validate the operational efficiency of our current controls. Don't just assume a control works, prove it. Third, doing this satisfies major compliance mandates. Things like ISO 27001, SOC 2, and HIPAA. And fourth, it just fundamentally hardens your general security posture across the board.
Now, an audit is definitely not a one-and-done project. It's a continuous maintenance cycle. If we map this out on a calendar, your routine baseline audit should be happening every 6 to 12 months. But, and this is a big but, immediate reviews are strictly demanded by what we call trigger events. So if you're undergoing domain migrations, executing functional level upgrades to your domain controllers, doing major structural overhauls, or you're stuck in a post-incident analysis phase, you have to trigger an immediate audit. Because in all of those scenarios, the environment just changed, which means your threat landscape fundamentally changed right along with it.
All right, Section 3. This is where we get our hands dirty, PowerShell discovery baselines.
Listen, before you can analyze risk, you absolutely must map out the exact scope of your domain footprint. And we do this through core PowerShell discovery scripts. For example, if you're using the Active Directory module, you'd fire off get-ad domain to dynamically query your root distinguished name. Then you'd lean on get-ad domain controller filter star to fetch all of your active domain controllers. Think of these commandlets as your tactical reconnaissance mission. It unlocks the visibility you need to know what you actually have to protect. Let's break this core discovery methodology down step by step so you have a solid technical blueprint. Step 1. Query that root DN using get-ad domain. Boom, you've established the very top of your identity tree. Step 2. Fetch active domain controllers with get-ad domain controller. This shows you exactly which servers are actively processing authentication requests and exactly where they live on your network. Step 3. Outline the audit scope. By combining steps 1 and 2, you've successfully mapped your target layout. You now have the precise boundaries of your audit scope totally locked in before any risk analysis even starts.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, log analysis and permissions.
Okay, let's talk about isolating groups because it is your best defense against a completely silent killer known as privilege creep. Over time, users just sort of accumulate permissions they no longer need, right?
It creates massive vulnerabilities. To rein this in, we rely on PowerShell CMDlets like get80 group member to isolate specialized security groups, think domain admins or enterprise admins, and we target their attributes. Then we get highly practical by piping those high-value targets into our SIEM, or using getWinEvent to specifically parse our authentication logs against those exact users. This validates our access consistency.
And when we're talking about practical log analysis techniques, there is one absolute golden metric for monitoring successful logons: Event ID 4624. Seriously, if you are analyzing logs, 4624 is the number you need burned into your memory. The trick is, a busy server is going to generate thousands of these every single minute. So the practical technique here is filtering 4624 by logon type. You want to specifically hunt for logon type 3 for network logons, or logon type 10 for remote interactive sessions tied to your domain admins. Doing this instantly verifies if your access controls actually match your security policies, or if, say, an admin is logging in from a random workstation they absolutely shouldn't be touching.
Let's pull this all together in Section 5, the Risk Assessment Matrix.
Once you identify these weaknesses, you have to categorize them so you can actually allocate your engineering resources effectively. Mapping it out brilliantly shows the difference in threat types. Take weak passwords, for instance. Super susceptible to brute forcing, dictionary mapping, or spray attacks. We slam that into high risk because it's a direct, immediate compromise vector. But compare that to overly permissive group policy objects, or GPOs, which might be granting excessive local admin privileges across broad organizational units. We usually classify that as medium risk. While it might not be as immediately exploitable from the outside as a weak password, loose group policies massively expand the blast radius if a breach does happen. It's exactly the kind of structural misconfiguration that attackers hunt for using mapping tools like Bloodhound to find totally silent, hidden paths straight to domain admin.
And finally, Section 6, the road ahead.
Well, that brings us to the end of Phase 1 of our blueprint. By defining our scope, establishing some real baseline visibility through those core PowerShell CMDlets, and mapping our initial vulnerabilities into a practical risk matrix, we've successfully knocked out the planning phase. We have laid the groundwork, but the real test is still coming up. Our next step is moving directly into hands-on configuration testing and validation in Part 2. But until then, I want to leave you with this one slightly provocative thought to chew on regarding your own network environment. Are your current security controls actually working, or are they just working on paper?